Every Dragonborn has a kill list, not the ones the game gives you, the personal one. The NPCs who made you quick save out of pure spite. Skyrim is full of characters designed to test your patience, your morals, and your restraint. And today, we're ranking the 8 who failed that test the hardest. We're starting mild and working our way up to the one character even mods can barely fix. Heimskr. Every city in Skyrim has background noise. Whiterun has a feature. The moment you walk through those gates for the first time, headed up to Dragon's Reach because some old man on a mountain won't stop yelling at you, you hear it. A voice so loud, so relentless, so absolutely committed to telling you about Talos that it bleeds through walls, through loading screens, through your will to live. Heimskr is a Nord priest stationed in the Wind District, and his entire existence is a looping sermon about the glory of Talos, delivered at a volume that suggests he thinks the god himself is hard of hearing. There is no pause. There is no break. There is only Talos. Here's the thing though. What he's doing is actually illegal. The White Gold Concordat explicitly banned Talos worship across the Empire, meaning every word coming out of this man's mouth is a direct violation of Imperial law. The Thalmor could drag him away at any point. He knows this. He does not care. He's standing on his little rock in a city with an Imperial-aligned Jarl, screaming about a forbidden god and daring anyone to stop him. That's either incredibly brave or incredibly stupid, and it might be both, and the game acknowledges his conviction in a way most players never see. If the Imperial Legion takes Whiterun during the Civil War, the siege destroys his home. Gone. Rubble. After that, you can find him living in a makeshift camp near the Temple of Kinnereth, still preaching. Just quieter now. Like someone who lost everything for what they believe in and decided to keep believing anyway. Which is, kind of respectable. But nobody thinks about that because his voice is drilling into your skull every time you visit the blacksmith. The community relationship with Heimskr is less hatred and more audio torture meme. Fusro docking him off his rock is practically a rite of passage for new players. You don't hate him. You just need him to stop talking for 5 minutes. Some players actually respect the man. He's ideologically consistent, willing to suffer real consequences for his beliefs, and never once backs down. That keeps him firmly in the mild annoyance category rather than anywhere near genuine hatred. He's the warm-up, the audio endurance test before you discover what real frustration feels like in this game. But if you think a loud priest is annoying, wait until you meet a Jarl who makes you want to commit crimes against the hold he's supposed to be protecting. Jarl Sidgeir. Every hold in Skyrim has a Jarl, and most of them earn that seat through war, political maneuvering, or at the very least, surviving long enough that people stopped arguing about it. Sidgeir did none of those things. He inherited the position from his uncle Dengir of Stune, a man convinced the Empire was plotting against him. The court decided Dengir was paranoid and senile, shuffled him aside, and handed the throne to his young Imperial-aligned nephew. Whether Dengir was actually losing his mind or conveniently removed so the Empire could install a cooperative puppet is a question the game never answers. But either way, Falkreath got a Jarl who didn't fight for anything, didn't build anything, and treats governance like a chore someone else should be handling. Your first interaction with Sidgeir tells you everything. He doesn't greet you. He doesn't ask about the dragons. He looks at you like you tracked mud into his longhouse and essentially says, prove you're useful. His idea of a quest is sending you to clear a bandit camp, not because citizens are being robbed, but because the bandits are personally inconveniencing him. The framing is, never protect my people. It's handle this, so I don't have to think about it. Compare that to Balgruuf, who's up in Dragon's Reach actively strategizing about dragon attacks, and Sidgeir looks like a kid who got handed the keys to a kingdom and immediately asked where the minibar was. He's the political failson. Born on third base, thinks he hit a triple, and will absolutely let you know that your presence in his court is a privilege he's generously allowing. But here's where it gets genuinely frustrating. If you're running the Dark Brotherhood questline and you assassinate his housecarl Helvard without witnesses, clean kill, completely undetected, Sidgeir can still turn hostile when you return. No one saw anything. There's no logical reason for him to know. But somehow this guy who can't be bothered to govern his own hold develops supernatural intuition about your extracurricular activities. It's almost certainly a scripting quirk, but the effect is infuriating. Now, in fairness, Sidgeir doesn't reach the top tier of community hatred. He's not Nazim. He's not Maven. His crimes are laziness, entitlement, and bad manners rather than active malice. Nobody's installing mods specifically to dethrone him, but that almost makes it worse. He's the kind of irritating that doesn't give you a satisfying outlet. You can't expose him. You can't challenge him. You just have to stand there while a man who's never swung a sword questions whether you're worth his time, but at least Sidgeir keeps his prejudices to passive condescension. The next character on this list doesn't bother with subtlety at all. Rolf Stonefist. Up until now, the characters on this list have been annoying. Loud, lazy, obnoxious, sure, but Rolf Stonefist isn't annoying. He's hateful. And that's a very different kind of problem. You'll find him most evenings near Candlehearth Hall in Windhelm, drinking himself stupid and then stumbling out to harass the Dark Elf residents of the Grey Quarter. His racism isn't subtle. It isn't implied. He openly boasts about tormenting Dunmer, expresses total contempt for the Argonians confined to the docks, and generally makes Windhelm's already grim racial tensions feel viscerally personal. He's not dog whistling, he's just whistling, loudly, into someone's face. Here's where the family connection makes things interesting. Rolf is the brother of Galmar Stonefist, Ulfric Stormcloak's literal second-in-command, the guy standing at the war table planning battles for Nordic independence. And his brother is out here getting hammered and screaming slurs at refugees. It makes Rolf feel less like a random drunk with bad opinions and more like the ugly truth behind the Stormcloak cause that nobody in the Palace of the Kings wants to address publicly. Now, you can fight him. He'll initiate a brawl with you for a small wager, and you can absolutely beat his face in with your bare hands. Feels great for about 4 seconds. But winning only earns his grudging respect for your strength, not a change of heart, not a moment of reflection. Just a you punch good and then he's right back to harassing elves the next evening. Which is, not ideal. The one saving grace, if you can call it that, is that Rolf isn't essential to any questline, meaning you can kill him permanently. No protected status, no reload required, just a sword and a decision. This actually limits his long-term annoyance compared to characters the game won't let you touch, but it also means the community has largely moved past frustration with him and settled into something more like moral judgment. Players don't hate Rolf the way they hate Heimskr. They don't find him grating or wish he'd shut up. They hate what he represents. The xenophobic underbelly of a movement that otherwise frames itself as freedom fighting. And if you happen to be playing as a Dunmer or Argonian, his insults hit different. Suddenly it's not abstract political commentary. It's a drunk Nord telling your character specifically that they don't belong here. Community discussions use Rolf as Exhibit A whenever someone argues the Stormcloaks are just misunderstood patriots. He's the counter-argument that writes itself. Not every Stormcloak supporter is Rolf, but Rolf is absolutely a Stormcloak supporter, and his brother helps run the whole operation. But if you think a racist drunk is bad, wait until you meet the man who somehow made an entire fan base want to commit murder over a single sentence about real estate. Nazim. There are characters in Skyrim who betray you, characters who try to kill you, characters who threaten everything you've built. And then there's a guy who owns a farm and won't shut up about it. Nazim is a Redguard resident of Whiterun who owns Chillfurrow Farm south of the city. That's it. That's his whole deal. He's a farmer. But you wouldn't know that from talking to him, because Nazim has constructed an entire fantasy where he's basically the Jarl's right-hand man, a political advisor of tremendous importance who simply cannot be bothered with common folk. His daily routine consists of loitering around the marketplace and delivering what might be the single most infamous line of dialogue in gaming history. Do you get to the Cloud District very often? Oh, what am I saying? Of course you don't. The Cloud District. He's talking about the area around Dragon's Reach, where the Jarl lives. He's implying he's up there all the time, rubbing elbows with Balgroove, advising on matters of state. Indispensable, really. Here's the thing, the game never actually shows him doing any of that. You can spend hundreds of hours in Whiterun, and you will never once see Nazim inside Dragon's Reach. Not once. He's not advising anyone on anything. He's standing next to a cabbage stall pretending he's important. The gap between who Nazim thinks he is and who Nazim actually is might be the widest in any Bethesda game, and that's saying something considering these games have literal delusional cultists. But wait, it gets better. His wife Ahlam openly complains about him to anyone who will listen. She's out there doing actual work while Nazim wanders around town social climbing his way into exactly 0 positions of influence. She basically tells anyone within earshot that her husband is an arrogant, status-obsessed fraud, which is, not exactly a ringing endorsement. And the beautiful thing about Nazim is how perfectly calibrated he is to annoy. He's not evil, he's not dangerous. He's just a nobody farmer with delusions of grandeur who happens to path directly into your walking route every single time you enter Whiterun. That combination of smugness, frequency, and complete hollowness has made him more infamous than most of Skyrim's actual villains. Steam threads, TikTok compilations, entire video essays dedicated to psychoanalyzing this man, all because he asked you about the Cloud District one too many times. Players have responded accordingly. Nazim isn't essential to any questline, which means he's completely expendable. Elaborate assassination setups, Fus Ro Da off the city walls, reverse pickpocketing poisons. The sheer creativity people have applied to removing this man from Whiterun is genuinely impressive. The real genius of Nazim is that he's so minor. A single condescending line from a delusional farmer shouldn't be enough to become one of gaming's most recognizable memes. But it did, because everyone has met a Nazim, everyone knows someone who talks about their life like they're 3 tax brackets above where where they actually are? He's universal in a way that dragons and assassins never could be. But if Nazim's crime is being annoying, the next character on this list committed something far worse. She betrayed an entire family. Astrid. Every other character on this list earned their spot by being annoying, arrogant, or morally bankrupt from the jump. Astrid is different. She earned her hatred the old-fashioned way. She made you trust her first. Think about how you meet this woman. You wake up in an abandoned shack with 3 hooded strangers tied up in front of you, and she's sitting on a bookshelf like she owns the concept of murder. She tells you someone in this room has a contract on their head, and you need to kill one of them to leave. It's unhinged. It's terrifying. And somehow, it works as a job interview. From that point forward, Astrid is your handler. She assigns contracts, introduces you to the family, calls the Brotherhood exactly that, a family. And for a while, it genuinely feels like one. Babette cracking jokes, Nazir handing out side gigs, Cicero doing his unsettling jester routine in the corner, and Astrid holds it all together with this blend of ruthlessness and warmth that makes her feel like the cool older sister who also happens to run a murder operation. But here's where it gets complicated. As the Night Mother starts speaking to you directly and you become the listener, Astrid doesn't celebrate. She panics. Her entire identity is wrapped up in leading this family, deciding who lives and who dies. The Night Mother threatens that. You threaten that, and instead of adapting, she does possibly the dumbest thing anyone in the Brotherhood has ever done. She sells you out to Commander Marrow and the Penitus Oculatus, the woman who recruited you, who called you family, who built this entire operation around loyalty, secretly hands the Brotherhood's location to the Empire's secret police. Her reasoning? She thought cutting a deal was the only way to survive. She thought she could trade your life for the family's safety. It doesn't work. Obviously. The Penitus Oculatus assault the Falkreath Sanctuary. Members you've spent hours working alongside are killed. The home you returned to between contracts is burning. And when you finally find Astrid, she's barely recognizable. Severely burned, lying on the floor of the destroyed sanctuary she tried to protect through betrayal. She asks you to kill her. And here's what makes Astrid different from every other hated character in Skyrim. She knows she was wrong. No defiance, no justification. She performed the Black Sacrament on herself. She wrote a final contract ordering the assassination of the Emperor, the mission she tried to prevent, as her last act of atonement. Some players feel satisfaction driving the blade in. Others feel nothing but loss. Because the hatred Astrid generates isn't the clean, simple kind you get from Nazim's smug one-liners or Maven's untouchable arrogance. It's the hatred that comes from disappointment, from someone you believed in choosing fear over faith, from watching a family burn because its leader couldn't handle not being the most important person in the room. She's not evil, the way Mercer Frey is evil. She's tragic in a way that almost makes the hatred worse. Because if she'd just trusted you, trusted the Night Mother, none of it had to happen. But if you think betrayal by an assassin guild leader stings, wait until you meet the woman who demands you murder your own mentor as a condition of friendship. Delphine. Most characters on this list are hated for what they say. Delphine is hated for what she takes away from you. She starts out fine. You meet her as the innkeeper at the Sleeping Giant Inn, quiet and unassuming, and then she pulls off one of the better reveals in the game. She stole the horn of Jurgen Windcaller before you could get it, planted a note, and lured you into a meeting to confirm you were Dragonborn. She's one of the last surviving blades. She's been hiding from the Thalmor for years, and she's been tracking dragon resurrections while everyone else pretended things were normal. On paper, exactly the ally you want, and for a while, she acts like one. She helps you infiltrate the Thalmor embassy, pushes the investigation into Alduin's return forward. Her paranoia is justified. The Thalmor genuinely did wipe out her entire order. But here's where it falls apart. Delphine doesn't treat you like a partner. She treats you like a weapon she found. You've killed dozens of dragons. You've absorbed their souls. You've shouted people off mountainsides. And she's still talking to you like the new intern who hasn't earned bathroom privileges yet. Then there's her attitude toward the Greybeards. These monks summoned you, trained you, studied the voice for thousands of years. Delphine dismisses them as passive hermits too detached to take action. Which is, not ideal when you're talking about the people who literally taught the Dragonborn how to use their powers. All of that would be enough to make her annoying. But annoying isn't why people despise her with the fire of 1,000 suns. The Paarthurnax ultimatum is why. After Paarthurnax has personally taught you the shout you need to defeat Alduin. After he's explained his philosophy of fighting the dragon instinct for domination every single day for thousands of years, Delphine walks up and says, kill him. No negotiation. No consideration of millennia spent atoning. No acknowledgement that he's the reason you can fight Alduin in the first place. Just, he's a dragon, he committed crimes in the ancient past, put him down, and if you say no, she locks you out of all Blades content, permanently. Every quest, every recruit, every interaction, gone. Because you had the audacity to show mercy to your own mentor. This is the real source of the hatred. It's not just that she's wrong, it's that the game mechanically punishes you for disagreeing with her. The dragon Dragonborn, the prophesied hero, the person who will literally save the world in about 3 quests, gets overruled by an innkeeper with a katana and a superiority complex. To be fair, some misconceptions exist. People think Delphine secretly works with the Thalmor. She doesn't, and killing Paarthurnax isn't required to finish the main quest. You can defeat Alduin without touching him. The ultimatum only affects Blade's side content, but those corrections barely dent the frustration, because the core problem remains. Delphine presents you with a binary choice between your conscience and game content, and she does it with the confidence of someone who genuinely believes they're in charge. She's not a villain. She's worse. She's an ally who thinks being right gives her authority to override everyone, including the literal chosen one standing in front of her. Paarthurnax teaches you that the highest form of strength is choosing against your nature. She can't even choose against her grudge. For a lot of players, that's unforgivable. But if you think an inflexible ally is bad, wait until you meet the guildmaster who was robbing you blind from day one, Mercer Frey. Here's the thing about Mercer Frey. Most villains in Skyrim announce themselves. They monologue. They wear spiky armor. They stand in a room full of corpses and go, "Ah, yes, welcome." Mercer doesn't do any of that. Mercer shakes your hand, gives you a job, and tells you you're doing great work. And then he puts a blade between your ribs. That's what makes him effective. He's your boss, first. When you first walk into the Ragged Flagon Cistern, Mercer is exactly what you'd expect a Thieves Guild leader to be. Competent, aloof, a little cold, sure, but he runs a criminal organization, not a daycare. He assigns you jobs. He acknowledges your skill. He sends you on increasingly important missions. You're climbing the ranks. Things are going well. The guild has seen better days, but hey, you're turning it around, except you're not. Because the reason the guild is failing in the first place is standing right in front of you, pretending to care. Years before you ever set foot in Riften, Mercer murdered his predecessor, Gallus Desidenius, stabbed him, framed Carlia for the crime, and drove her into exile. Then he stole the Skeleton Key, a Daedric artifact sacred to Nocturnal that was literally the source of the guild's supernatural luck. He pocketed the one thing keeping the organization alive and wondered why everything started falling apart, which is, not ideal. But here's where it gets personal. During speaking with Silence, you and Mercer track Carlia to Snowvale Sanctum. You're working together. You're trusting this man with your life in a Nordic ruin full of Draugr. And then you corner Carlia, and Mercer turns around and stabs you, leaves you bleeding on the floor, walks away like you were nothing. If Carlia hadn't intervened with a paralytic poison that slowed your heart enough to keep you alive, that would have been it. Quest over. Character dead. Thanks for playing. The investigation afterward reveals the full scope of it. He'd been siphoning gold from guild jobs for years. Every contract you ran, every heist you pulled off, a cut was disappearing into Mercer's personal vault. The guild's entire decline, every failed job, every dry spell, every member wondering why their luck ran out traces directly back to one man's greed and one stolen artifact, and he showed zero remorse, not a flicker. The final confrontation happens at Erkenthand, where Mercer is attempting to steal the eyes of the Falmer because apparently bleeding the guild dry wasn't enough. He needed one last score. He uses the Skeleton Key's power to turn invisible during the fight, which is genuinely annoying from a gameplay perspective, but satisfying to overcome. You kill him in a flooding Dwemer chamber, his body sinking beneath the water along with whatever stolen wealth he had left. Poetic, in a grim sort of way. Now here's what separates Mercer from the characters above him on this list. He gets a boss fight, you get to kill him. You get to watch the water close over his corpse and then walk away, knowing the guild can recover. That catharsis matters. Players describe him as someone they love to hate, and that distinction is important. The betrayal is infuriating. The stab in Snowvale Sanctum makes your blood boil, but the resolution is clean. He's a villain. He acts like a villain, and he dies like one, unlike the next character who does equally terrible things and never faces a single consequence. Maven Blackbriar. Every other character on this list has a weakness, a moment where the game lets you win. Mercer gets a boss fight. Astrid burns alive in her own guilt. Nazim can catch a sword to the face on any given Tuesday. Maven Blackbriar gets a promotion. Here's what makes Maven different. She's not hated because she's loud or because she stabs you in the back or because she won't shut up about the Cloud District. She's hated because the game itself tells you repeatedly to your face that you cannot touch her, and then it proves it. Maven is the matriarch of the Blackbriar family in Riften, operating at the exact intersection of commerce, crime, and politics. She owns Blackbriar Meadery. She bankrolls the Thieves Guild. She has the Dark Brotherhood on speed dial. And she speaks to you, the literal chosen one who eats dragon souls for breakfast like you're something she found on the bottom of her shoe. Walk up to her in Riften and she'll tell you she owns the city. The guards answer to her. The merchants answer to her. The Jarl answers to her. And she's not lying. She's not some delusional Nazim puffing up his own importance. Maven is stating observable, very verifiable facts about the power structure of the Rift, which is, not ideal, but it gets worse. If the Imperial Legion takes Riften during the Civil War, Maven doesn't flee. She becomes Jarl. The game literally promotes the crime boss to head of government. She appoints her son as steward, installs a Thieves Guild enforcer as her housecarl, and merges organized crime with official political power. Nobody in the entire province blinks. She openly references her Dark Brotherhood contacts to intimidate anyone who crosses her, casually mentioning assassination like normal people mention calling their lawyer. And what happens afterward? Nothing. Zero consequences. Still standing in the same spot, still sneering, still completely untouchable. And that's the defining feature. Not her arrogance, not her corruption. It's the structural invulnerability. No quest exists to expose her. No quest line lets you depose her. No faction path leads to justice of any kind. You can become the head of the Thieves Guild, the listener of the Dark Brotherhood, the Dragonborn who killed a literal god, and Maven still talks to you like you're the help. Mercer betrayed you, but you gotta drown him in a Dwemer ruin. Astrid sold out the Brotherhood, but she died screaming. Every villain on this list eventually faces something. Maven just endures, untouched, unbothered, still rich, still in charge, and players have responded the only way they can. They install mods that remove her essential flag so they can finally put a sword through her. Think about that. Players are literally rewriting the game's code just to get the catharsis that Bethesda deliberately denied them. That's not normal NPC hatred. That's a community collectively saying, no, we reject this design decision, give us the ending we earned. Maven Blackbriar represents something none of the others do. She's not a personal insult like Nazim. She's not a betrayal like Mercer. She's entrenched, systemic corruption that individual heroism simply cannot dismantle. The kind of power that doesn't care how many dragons you've killed because it operates on a completely different axis. You can save the world and she'll still own it. That combination of narrative prominence, constant arrogance, and permanent mechanical invulnerability makes her the final boss of frustration. Not because she's the strongest enemy in the game, but because she's the one enemy the game never lets you fight. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, click the video on the screen now.